Welcome to the Latin Wealth Podcast, a podcast dedicated to educating the Latino community about entrepreneurship, investing, and business.
Yo, what's going on, Latin Wealth family? Welcome to another episode to Wealth Wednesday. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Glad to have you here. If you are a long-time listener, shout out to you guys. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate all the negative comments, the ugly comments, the good comments, the nice comments. We appreciate it all. This is a show that we put out every single Wednesday. We have not missed a shot in almost 2 years,
2 years.
going on 2 years. I don't know how long it's
years.
been, but it's been a minute. We have not missed a Wednesday. So it would mean the world to us just on that. If you can subscribe, like, share this episode with somebody else, share this audio with somebody else, wherever you're listening to this podcast, it would mean the world. Even if you left a comment, it would mean the world to us. So shout out to you guys. Quick announcement. Last Friday, we had a pretty dope interview with Yaneli on the podcast. Great
Dope.
interview. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, go ahead and check it out. And we have another interview dropping this Friday for your head top, diving into Airbnbs in Puerto Rico. All right. That's going to be a pretty dope conversation. So stay tuned for that this Friday. My guy, Jeremiah, how you feeling today?
Feeling good. I want to speak. Let me say something. Chris said he enjoys the bad comments. I don't enjoy the bad comments. No, I'm just playing. It's fuel. We like it. I love all comments because that means that you're actually watching it and that you're paying attention. If you got good feedback, whether good or positive or negative, that means you're watching. So we appreciate you. But I'm feeling good, man. And by the way, Chris, dope episode with Yaneli. That was different for me. Someone from that perspective. So shouts out to her, and then shouts out to you. Good questions.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. So today we're going to be diving into two topics. We're going to be diving into the Mexican oil company Pemex. All right. If you guys don't know about them, we're going to be going over their influence, some of their new partnerships, and some of the recent challenges that they have with the business. Very, very interesting business out of Mexico that we're going to be diving into. And we're going to be diving into how the new immigration policies are shifting the new immigration policy shifts are affecting Latino families in America. We'll be diving into that into the second half of the episode. So if you guys want to fast forward to that, feel free to do that. Speaking of comments, somebody left a comment. Y'all didn't start talking about X, Y, and Z until later in the episode. So look, if you want to skip to that, feel free to do that. I would encourage you to listen to the whole episode, but we will cover both today. All right. With that being said, let's dive into Pemex. If you guys don't know about Pemex, Pemex is a Mexican state-owned petroleum corporation managed and operated by the Mexican government. Now, what's pretty interesting is they just released an article that just came out about 2 months ago at the beginning of the year. Pemex to share up to 10% of production profits with private sector partners. All right, so what this basically means is Pemex will share profits with private companies on some oil projects. All right, these joint ventures can make up about 10% of Pemex total oil production. Now, just to give you guys some perspective on how big this company is and their influence in Mexico, I want to share a graphic from Latino Metrics. But when you fill up your car out here in America, you probably maybe go to Shell's, Chevron. These are the different companies that you see pretty often. Let me share this graphic with you guys to give you guys some perspective once again on Pemex.
Shouts out to Latino Metrics.
Shout out to Latino Metrics as usual for the dope graphics. Now, this graphic here breaks down the number of gas stations operated by a company as of 12/24, so the end of last year. The red is going to be a public company, and the green
Can you
ones.
blow it up, bro?
Yes, sir.
Just sorry.
Let's see if I can. No, you good.
Okay.
That better? Boom. Red is going to be Pemex. greenish blue color is going to be other private companies. If you can see, as I zoomed in, you got Chevron in here, you got Shell, you got Mobile, right? But Arco, and these are all in Mexico. But the main company that fuels Mexico is Pemex, with over 8,000 gas station, 62%. All right. So as we said, this is a corporation managed and operated by the Mexican government. So we can go into a whole nother conversation about that. Obviously, they're gonna do pretty well, but I mean, look, I just came back from Mexico City about 2, 3 weeks ago, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember seeing any other gas station but Pemex out there at all. You know what I'm saying? So this is a huge company. Now, what's interesting is, and I'm going to bring Jeremiah in here in a second. They've had some financial challenges. Pemex has about $100 billion in debt. $20 billion of that is owed to oil field service providers, and the company is trying to increase oil production and pay off this debt. So now, where's this profit sharing is coming in, is profit shares will be split after private companies recover their initial investments. And of course, once the government takes 30% of the oil tax. And the goal is to ensure both Pemex and partners make money on this deal. And then the last thing I'll say before I loop in Jeremiah is the president of Mexico said this setup is legal and structured to benefit Mexico. Pemex can also ask for private help when needed while still protecting national interests. All right. So I know there's probably a lot of people out there that have never even heard of this company. Maybe, I don't know if they have these in America. Do they have them in America? I don't think so.
I've never seen Pemex. If
Okay,
they would,
maybe
they'd probably be, you know, in the border states,
in the border
Arizona,
states.
Texas,
That's what I
New
was thinking,
Mexico.
like maybe
Yeah.
Cali or something like that, LA or something.
Cali, maybe. Yeah.
Um, so we wanted to bring this up. This is a prominent company in Mexico. A lot of people may not be aware of it, but you can just see the volume over 8,600 different gas stations compared to the next biggest one is probably it looks like Mobile with
Yeah, mobile.
587
Yeah, mobile.
mobile. So
Yeah.
well, you got the other section right here, which is probably a bunch of other companies that are 787, but still a single company, 587. Jeremiah, what are your thoughts on this?
A lot of people would talk bad about Pemex because they're owned by the government, but it seems to be working in their favor. And although they have sizable deficit of debt, every company has debt. I don't
Right.
know whether people actually are paying attention to American companies or however, whatever, but every company has debt. That's just a part of being right. You leverage that debt appropriately, you make it grow. That's part of business. Using other people's money and having debt, that's a part of
Yeah.
business. Um, Something interesting for people to think about now. Saudi Aramco, right, is owned by Saudi Arabia, right?
Hmm.
Um, and it's doing extremely well, right? If you don't know who Aramco is, you can look that up. But just it doesn't mean just because something is owned by the government that it's not going to do well, or that it's a bad thing. I feel like because we're Americans, we have a certain
Hmm.
idealism of privatization of these companies and things like that. But if we're really honest and just being honest, in the United States, nothing's really private either, is it? Because Mobil, right, Exxon Mobil, Chevron, all these things. Remember, Cheney worked for Halliburton. He was in the White House. So the appearance
Hmm.
of things to be separate from the government, that sounds good, but really, right, these lobbyists go in there and right. So really,
Yeah.
everything is owned by the government, or they own the government. So it's one and the same thing. So we feel like we're separate than Mexico it is on that aspect, but we're really not. It's just the appearance or separation. Also, um, with them looking to expand, hopefully they're looking to probably do more wells and things like that. They're probably going to expand a little bit into America. That's something to
And
watch out
we'll
for.
get into some of that in a second. I have
Okay,
something to say.
cool.
Yeah.
And then for me, right? The perfect partner is Canada. Now the problem is you'd have to move that through America, but the thing about it is private companies will easily move that for a little surcharge. They would move the Canadian fuel, right, to Mexico. Or Canada can, put it on barges. I don't know. That would be kind of pricey or whatever, but I'm sure they can figure something out to where Canada exports their stuff to Mexico, given the certain, economic tensions that we're having currently with the
Yeah.
United States. So anyway,
And speaking about that, this is actually a time where Pemex is looking to diversify their market during these Trump tariffs threats and whatnot, these
yeah,
conversations. And so Pemex is reportedly in talks with buyers in Europe, in Asia, and including, drumroll, China, which we spoke about last week, how China's been doing that thing. All right, we've been knowing this for a while. And look, the company is exploring new trading partners to reduce reliance on any single country. And this is coming from an executive of Pemex. She basically said if the new opportunities in other markets open up, we'll pursue them. And we already are. All right. So this conversation comes up of like, if you're curious, why is Pemex trying to diversify? Well, look, if with the recent policies moves and whatnot, Trump announcing a 25% tariff on trade with countries buying oil from Venezuela, it might be a good idea not to put all your eggs into one basket.
I think the question for me, right, is this beneficial? Because we said that remember we talked about that, but like now Mexico's like openly saying like, yeah, we're talking to China.
Yeah.
And we're talking to Europe also, who is not in good standings currently with Trump. Well, no one is. But anyway, you know, these are things you have to think about. And I'm saying this, Chris, like from a perspective of us as the United States. What happens when you push people away, when you push Canada away, when you push Mexico away? Where do they go? Who has open arms and ready to
Right.
make the relationships, right? It's
Relationships.
usually your enemies. Russia has a whole bunch of oil. China has a bunch of oil. Like, so these are the people that are sitting and waiting. And then eventually they just say, well, you know what? I mean, maybe we don't totally agree with China or Russia in the way that they do things, but at the end of the day, I mean, you tried to bully us and maybe we'll just all go against America.
Mm, mm, yep.
And I know people, I think I saw in the comments last people like, man, if you hate America, leave. And then, I mean, we talked about me moving anyway. I mean, I am, but that's, that wasn't the point of it. What I'm saying is that exact mentality that, you know, it's us or nobody else, and we have to mistreat people and do things. That's what I'm speaking
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Because Mexico's Mexico's president is extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
She's actually elevating their country. She's doing a very good job, actually. So, you know, I don't know. What do you think, Chris? You think maybe we should rethink some of the stuff we're doing, and maybe, I
Man,
mean, we
look,
won't, but do you?
no, we definitely won't. And look, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna keep saying this. This is gonna be my quote of the year, bro. If I was the president, I'm building relationships, bro. I still don't understand. Even the people that live right below us and above us, the mistreatment. It's kind of crazy to me. We'll see what happens, what comes out of it. Maybe another plan or an agenda that we just don't see, possibly. And if that is the case, we'll definitely cover it on here. But that's
Do
always
you
been
think?
my.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
Do you think there is? You think there's some other plan? Be honest. You think there's any other plan, or you think he's just kind of taking it day by day and however he feels when he wakes up?
Bro, I really don't know. I mean, if there is, I don't see it. I mean, I will say to play God's advocate a little bit,
Yeah.
and I definitely would have to do a little bit more research on this. Is the whole thing with the tariffs is to bring production back to America.
Yeah.
So, to their defense, maybe that will work out.
We don't have the infrastructure for it. You can't pay them. You don't have the economy to pay American workers. If you brought all the jobs back from India and China and all these other places where they're paying them $2 or $3, but I mean, it's not a great living, but it's sufficient for them. You can't pay those factory workers here.
And
You don't
if
have the
they
economy for
do,
that.
does that cause inflation even more? Does that
Of
increase it even
course.
more? Yeah.
Yeah. And just it's just more national debt because there's tariffs still on the people while you're trying to build that infrastructure. There's still tariffs on the places where you get the raw materials from to make whatever you're manufacturing. So the company's not doing well either way. Now the company has to pay American workers, right, 5 to
Yeah.
6 times what you're paying across the water. So tell me how the company's making money, which eventually leads to what? It's more layoffs. You hire them and then you fire everybody because you simply can't maintain it. So that's
Yeah. And I
I
do want to
hear it. I'm and we're gonna go off on super tangent, but one last thing. I didn't like Biden. Okay. I think he was too old. And I think someone else should have either Kamala should have stepped up in end of year one or something like that. She should have taken over. We all know Joe is decrepit. He's seen out. Got no disrespect to him or anything, but he just wasn't there. Um, But what I will say is this, the infrastructure bill that they passed, that was actually the foundation of what they were trying to do by laying taking fiber optic cable and internet and stuff to all around the country, bettering the roads, all of those things in the infrastructure bill that he was actually trying to do, and the sale, what do they call it? The NVIDIA the
hmm
chip bill, where they were trying to get chip factories here. All that stuff was trying to do the exact same thing, but it just was under another political flag until nobody liked it.
hmm
I just want you guys to
100%.
go back and break
Yeah.
down the stuff that I'm talking about. That's all I'm saying. And I don't go Democrat, I don't go Republican. I just call facts. And I'm just saying if that was our goal, that's what
Right.
that
Right. 100%. And I do want to reiterate that point that you just left at the end because I see it all the time. People, you hate America or, this, that. It's like, I think y'all
no,
missing the point. Like,
no. I want us to do better.
right.
I want us to do better, man. Like, no, why Why do I hate America? Because I say we shouldn't bully people. Why do I hate America? Because I say that we're not the only important people in the world. We're not. Like America's not the only important. Like everyone's important. All countries have human beings, and those human beings are just we're all important.
Yeah.
It's not us. We're no better than anyone else. And I think that's what I'm saying. Like we got to get rid of that. You're just because you're American, you're no better than anybody else. No better. I don't understand why you think you're better.
Mm,
That's all I'm saying. That's all.
I agree with that, man. And something else that I want to hit on is how immigration policy shifts are affecting Latino families. All right. So this is broken up into a couple different sections. We'll take it piece by piece. So as we know, Trump has taken major steps to increase enforcement. Several executive order are already in place, such as revoked protections that stop ICE from arresting people at schools, hospitals, and churches. Expanded fast track deportation for those who can't prove they've lived in the United States for over 2 years. Terminated birthright citizenships for children of undocumented or temporary legal parents. All right, these are executive orders that have already been put into place. All right. So, what impact does this have on Latino communities? Jeremiah and I were both proud Latinos, proud Boricuas. So, we're
Nope.
always going to look at all of this from a Latino's lens, right, as much as possible. A 2025 report said 57% of Latino parents are worried about deportation. 74% of Latino immigrants are very concerned about families or friends being deported. All right, now this has a wide spectrum of, of effects on mental health and fear of law enforcement and all sorts of stuff that we'll get into. But when you hear those numbers, what are your thoughts about those?
It takes me back to post World War II, when if you were Japanese American,
Yep.
or if you looked Japanese American, because I don't know whether people understand this, but there's a lot of Chinese and Korean Americans that were put into internment camps because they looked quote unquote Japanese. Um, that's what it takes me back to. Just the xenophobic nature of these laws. When if you go back 2 generations for Trump, his grandfather was an immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yep.
it's just it's and let's be correct on this. Okay, I try to be politically correct, but let's be correct. No one has a problem, and I saw an Instagram video that spoke on this, and it was white immigrants who were admitting that they didn't have any papers.
Mm.
And they said they didn't fear anything, and they think that that was wrong. They said that they can walk around, no one ever stops them. One of them didn't even speak English,
Mm.
but have no fear of ever being stopped. So let's keep it what it is, and let's be honest. Only South American, Caribbean, or African, right, of color, people of color. That's the only people that have to worry. You don't have to worry. I don't even think you have to worry if you're Asian. I don't even think, like now, right? We
Yeah,
talked
that's a
about the
fact.
Japanese back then, but no, they're not checking for Asian people. They're not
Which is
like it's only one
and
specific
not
area.
not saying that like
No,
y'all should be or something, but
no, 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 no,
let's
no,
call
no.
it for
That's
what
not what
it
I'm
is.
saying. Yeah, because
No,
people
no, I
gonna
get it.
stand by it.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying no one should have that.
Right.
Right? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying no one should have that. No one should fear their children being pulled out of a school and
26
dragged.
percent 26% of Latinos avoid speaking to teachers and school staff. 30% said they won't enroll their kids in school programs or early childhood education.
What does that do? So let's hang on, hang on. So let's break this down. I'm gonna break it down to you like directly,
Break it down.
directly. The very criminals and the very actions that you say you're trying to prevent because you don't want these people in your country, you're propagating and you're generating that behavior. How do you do that? Because you won't allow the hardworking parents to send their children to school to learn and get an education and to become productive citizens that pay taxes and to do everything else that everyone else does. So when you don't do that, you create a degenerative nation of people because you wouldn't allow them to go to school, which then they turn to what? There's nothing else left for them to do because they can't get a job. You need your high school diploma now to work at McDonald's.
Mm.
Unless you're like 16, right? And you got to show your age. Like that's the only so what I'm saying is you're forcing them almost into a life of lowly existence and crime. And then you blame them for the crime and the lowly existence that they're not profiting society. But you're systematically forcing them into that position. You see the juxtapose of that? Like you see how hypocritical
For
it
sure.
is to call someone a criminal, but you're forcing them to be a criminal because they can't send their children to school. Well, of course they can. They just need to go get legal paperwork. These are the things that I'm talking
Yep.
about. It's from a place of privilege that these comments come from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's from a
For
place
sure.
of,
That's what it is.
you know, if we took these people and we dropped them off in Colombia, or we dropped them off in Puerto Rico, we dropped them off in Dominican Republic, the people around you, there's going to be good people that seek to help you and take care of you and
100%.
don't try to
100%.
ostracize you, right?
100%.
Even if you don't know the language, they're going to try to get you to a place, or at least take you to the embassy, help you find something. They're more open and welcoming than we are here. Because if that happened here, what happens? I mean, there'll be some nice people, but if you land in a certain area, what they going to tell you? They're going to call ICE on you.
That's a fact.
Mental health, bro. Mental health is crazy. Imagine children. You imagine
Bro,
children you imagine being a child and seeing your parents ripped from you and stubbed in a beat down by police and shoved in
come
the
on.
back of a van or something and never see your parents again. Can you
And by
imagine
the
that?
way, this isn't like hypothetical. These aren't
No, this is
stories that we're making up. These aren't numbers that we're making up. These are
oh,
this is all real.
this is
You know what I'm saying?
real.
Like,
This is real. These are kids that one day they wake up with their mom, they're eating breakfast, and then they never see their parents again. They don't know where their parents went because no one comes to tell them that your dad was just deported, your mom was just deported. Can you imagine being 7, 8 year old coming home and there's no parents, there's no food, I'm just I'm telling you real pictures that's going on out here. These are things for people to think about when they make the comments. Because I've even seen in our comments people talking about immigrants and speaking, certain
for sure.
things about
For
different
sure.
people.
For sure. I mean, and you said it. I mean, you said it yourself. All of this is just going to contribute to a further drop and could widen the economic inequality in our community. The things that we're fighting so hard to elevate, like this, taking kids out of school, putting them in fear. 35% of Latino parents plan to avoid talking to the police or reporting crime because they just don't want to be around. It's just like it's creating a lot of fear.
So what do? Then the people that thrive on that, right? The bad people that you're actually talking about, now they thrive because no one can report it. No one can talk about getting help or, trying to set up programs or things to get those people help because they're afraid to talk to the police.
For sure. For sure. Look, I've had conversation with a couple people in our community that don't care about this type of stuff. And that's cool if you don't care, but we do care on this platform. We generally care about our community. We care about our people. This is why we come on here
And
consistently.
and let
Go
me
ahead.
say something. Let me say something. Shame on you Puerto Ricans that don't care about other Latinos. Because Chris is trying to avoid saying it, but I'm gonna keep it real. All you Puerto Ricans that don't care about it because we have citizenship, shame on you. Shame on you. That's not a good look. It's not a good look not to care about your Dominican brothers and sisters. Not a good look not to care about, our Mexican brothers and sisters. That's not a good look. We were blessed, because we all know how that works in Puerto Rico. If right, so that's a quote unquote blessing. But yeah, we have citizenship, but shame on you because I see that a lot too. A lot of Puerto Ricans that, well, it doesn't matter because you were born with it, so it doesn't matter to you. But just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know if you
100%.
see that, Chris. I see a
Oh, I
lot
do
of that.
see it.
A
I
lot
do
of
see
us
it.
that make these statements, and I'm like, mm, okay.
Yeah, I do see it. And it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You can try to empower people, help people, be the most positive person in the world, but somebody's always going to try to tear you down and unfortunately be your own people. But I will say it's not going to stop us
Nope.
by any means. You know what I'm saying? So,
Nope.
um, anyways, look, we want to bring you this information. This is from brookings.edu. If you want to go check out this full article with these numbers and whatnot, we love to know your thoughts and comments about Pemex. Have you heard of this company? Have you seen one of these locations? What are your thoughts about some of the moves that the partnerships that they're looking to pursue with other countries? What are your thoughts on the immigration policies? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Let us know in the comment section down below. And yeah, I think that's it. That's it. Love to hear from you guys. The Latin World family. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace, guys.